Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Welcome to NatureBack, Tim.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Tell us in a few words, what is GreenFi?
GreenFi is a climate-friendly consumer financial services company. And what that means is that we offer banking and investment services to consumers. And we focus on consumers who are concerned about the climate and concerned about the impact they can have on the climate and want to find ways to build climate impact into their everyday lives.
Climate and financial services for consumers, how those two things go together?
They actually go together not only very well, but importantly. And I'm going to focus on the U.S. here for a moment. Not to be parochial, but that's where the business is and customers we serve. Mm-hmm. But if you're the average U.S. consumer, the most important impact that you will have on the climate is what you do with your money, where you deposit it, how you spend it, where you invest it. Those are the by far the largest impacts you'll make, and many people don't know that. And if you put solar on your house, that's a great thing to do, and you should do it. But where you deposit your money, what bank you deposit your money in, has a greater impact. If you drive an electric vehicle, you should. It's a great thing to do. But it won't have as great an impact as where you put your money, where you invest your money, where you save it. And there's good reasons why, is that if your money is deposited in one of the 10 largest banks in the U.S., for instance, which is where most people's money is, then up to 30% of your own capital is being used to finance in some way the fossil fuels industry. That's just the structure of our banking industry. And that means all the good work that you may be doing, behind your back, your bank account is silently undoing. And our job, my company's job, is to change that, to make it different.
Are you kind of creating an alternative banking system, or are you actually working with the banks in one way or the other to change that?
I work with a network of banks, and so I'm not a bank. I'm a financial technology company. So our customers deposit their funds through us, and we keep those funds in a network of banks. And each of those banks has agreed with us and signs an attestation every year that they will not invest in the fossil fuels industry. They won't provide loans. They won't otherwise engage in supporting the industry. And but your funds are kept in a regulated bank, and they're FDIC insured. And what it means is that you can get the protections that you would hope for from a bank, but your money is not being used to undermine your values. And we work through that network to be able to provide our customers the service.
Is it easy to find such financial services or providers or the banks who are ready to do this? If 30% of the money is going to the fossil fuel industries or supporting the fossil fuel industry, then I would assume it's could be quite challenging.
It's not easy. But there are definitely banks who will do that, and it's worth people checking out and understanding what does their bank do.
Exactly.
And we have to work pretty hard to make sure we have a good network of banks who are committed to adhering to those restrictions.
How did you come up with GreenFi? What was the kind of beginning point, going back in the story a little bit?
Well, if I roll the story back, there was a company called Aspiration. Started about 10 years ago, and it started trying to build a banking platform that was focused on values. And like a lot of financial technology companies, during the sort of late 2018, 2019, 2020, when interest rates were very low, they were trying to grow really fast in hope to make it to the public markets. And when interest rates went up and investment capital dried up, like a lot of financial technology companies, they were left in bad shape. And the board had asked me to come in and take a look at the consumer financial business that they had, because at the time the company was pivoting to try to focus on global carbon markets. And what I found was it was a company that was losing a sort of astonishing amount of money, and that which had been okay when investment capital was basically free, but that was no longer the case. And I felt like there was value in the idea, and I started another company, Mission Financial Partners, and through that company, I licensed the technology and some of the IP from the original Aspiration, and we offered the customers of Aspiration the chance to switch and come join, and I was very heartened when almost all of them did, and as we were shutting down that previous platform, they came to join us, and our focus was very clear, is that we were going to be solely focused on climate conscious consumers and building financial products for them, whether that be in banking or in investments or in insurance or in lending or in credit or other areas. And that's what we've been doing. And we're early in our journey to build it out, but very heartened to see the support that we've gotten.
Looking at the US from Europe, is there enough climate conscious consumers to build a services platform for them?
In the US, there are more than 100 million people, about 40% of the US adult population, who would say that the climate is very important to them. Not just important, but very important to them, and seek ways to take action. And so it's not that there's not enough people. It's a very large market. It's just that they have been very badly served. Is that the financial products that they get either really have nothing to do with the climate, or the ones that say they have something to do with the climate, they're not sure how they work, or they don't think they're going to fit their needs, or they're just outright suspicious of greenwashing, and they have a right to be. So it really has been a case of consumers who have these concerns not being given the kind of products that they need, and it's really important right now, Dharma, because as in the U.S., as our government sort of veers to the right and abandoned its policymaking responsibilities in these areas, or worse than abandoning them, you're really going to see a period that is really about the rise of the climate conscious consumer, when consumers and other actors, non-government actors, are going to be the ones who carry the bulk of the work on climate. And we really see ourselves in that family of companies and organizations and people who are enabling people and individuals to be able to take action in a way that's much easier than they could have in the past. And that's going to be really needed right now.
The world is changing.
The world is changing.
Thank God. Or
In some ways.
whatever this refers to, of course.
Mm-hmm.
From your company side, what's the kind of ambitions? Are you kind of happy to focus on the 100 million market of the US consumers, or do you actually plan to go global? Or
I think once we get a really good foothold in the U.S. market, then I think it's pretty obvious that there's a large market outside the United States, and in fact, perhaps a more developed market, particularly in the EU. And so I would expect that we would begin looking at that. Our first job is to really get our foothold here in the U.S. and to build out the product suite that we want to be able to bring to people, so that we can provide the broad range of products that a consumer would want and make them easy and transparent and allow customers to do well with their financial goals and do good by the planet at the same time.
Talking about the financial products, I would assume it's, I don't know, investment funds, pension plans. What else?
So we offer, in the investment side, we offer a mutual fund family that is proprietary mutual fund family that is an ESG fund family that you can invest through your 401k, or you can invest on your own. We are actively working to expand that now, and we're really focused on the benefit that AI can bring to enable people to invest in a very different way than they've been able to in the past, and really enable them to understand the impact of their investments in a way they've never been able to do. And previously you had to rely on fairly broad definitions of ESG or some climate benefit, and those were often backward looking, and the rules and definitions around those often unclear. And what AI is bringing us is an opportunity to be very specific about a fund or a security that you might invest in, and its climate impact, and what the alternatives to that might be that would also meet your financial goals. And so we're really got our heads down, working on building out a suite of products that we can expand into, that will really give consumers a new way to engage with their investment portfolio.
I remember an example from a few years ago when some kind of environmental index was investing in General Motors, but not in Tesla. So
exactly,
this kind of the crazy examples come to my mind when you talk about the kind of the more specific.
Well, even for us, so we have a fund family that we work with UBS as a sub-advisor on the fund family, and they have a great sustainability team. But there are times when we're going over the portfolio, and I just scratched my head and said, "Why do you have this one in there and not that one?" And the answer will be, well, they have a series of filters they use and numerical rankings, and I think that's exactly the problem. The problem is you want to know exactly how does this affect the climate, and what are my alternatives? Exactly. And that's for the first time, it's the advent of being able to do that. Or how can I, if I'm investing in stock portfolios, which was what many people do, how can I put together a portfolio that will of funds that will meet my goals, whether I am a growth investor or whether I am looking for very much balance or more of an international exposure, but where I understand what the climate impact is. And it's a very exciting time to be working to building this, because I think over the next couple of years you'll really see an enormous change in what's available to your average investor.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Exactly, coming back to the same phrase I was already using, that the world is changing. Sorry. Talked a little bit about the kind of the maybe growth ambitions. What's the kind of what's the cause for this upcoming winter for you guys? What are the next milestones to reach?
So the next couple of milestones for us are really product milestones for us. We're introducing a new suite of banking products that will I think provide more value to our customers with higher interest rates, with transparency around no fees, and the ability to plant trees with all of your purchases. And so one of the unique things that we do is that for customers who sign up for this and use our debit cards, every time they swipe their cards, they round up the change on their purchase, and we use that to fund tree planting. And so as we sit here talking, Tarmo, if we're here for an hour, we'll fund our customers will fund the planting of about 500 trees. So we plant a tree about every 7 seconds in 2.5 football fields a day, American football fields. And I think in the last year, we planted about 4.5 million trees, reforesting different areas around the world. And we do that for a particular purpose, which is that what we found is that customers really have an affinity for nature-backed solutions. And carbon credits are great. They're a great source of liquidity for capital to go into projects. But when you're talking to consumers, they want to feel a real connection to what they're doing. And we found that just there was nothing that gave that sense of real connection like knowing that they're planting trees with every swipe of their card, and they can watch that forest grow that they're helping to plant. And so it's a very, very popular program of ours.
But the tree planting goes on globally. How do you choose with who do you work, or where those plantations are going on?
So we work with a couple of partners, but the main partner we work with is a great company called Vertree, and their entire reason for being is to look at tree planting projects around the world and evaluate those projects and verify the projects and verify them over time to make sure that the climate claims are what you want them to be, that the trees are being planted, and that the survival rates are what we would expect. And they've been a great partner, and they're someone that we're really enjoying working with as we work on this. And so we might work with them across multiple different projects. We also work with some organizations here in the U.S. To our direct support from the company for doing things like reforesting in the Sierra Mountains in California, which were burned off in fires over the last couple of years.
The effects your consumers have seen directly, basically. So it's probably very powerful. Wanted to ask about the kind of tree planting projects. I've heard about startups which are doing something like you can see in the app how the tree you supported is growing, or can you kind of give consumers some kind of direct results or feedback of how it's going.
So an interesting thing, Torma, which is there's a lot of work being done around how do you get greater visibility on the trees that are growing and how do you get them to see it, and what we found in our dialogue with consumers is, well, that would be interesting to them once or twice, but they didn't really return to it. And it's like having a webcam that lets you see your fish or your dog at home while you're at work. You watch it pretty obsessively the first day or two you have it, and after that you stop watching it. But what consumers really did care about was having a sense of confidence that the reforestation work was going on, that it was important, and that it was being carefully managed and watched. And so that is what we focused on. Now we're trying to support different ways to give better visibility with that. We're also looking hard at whether there are other areas besides tree planting that can give consumers the same sense of real connection with something. So we're looking at oceans projects, for instance, and kelp and other things, and we're sort of experimenting with how can you give the same kind of direct connection that you get with, I swiped my card, I planted a tree. So
probably quite
we have some other programs we do that are different than trees. So for instance, everyone is not in a position to buy an electric vehicle now, obviously. And for those who can't or aren't ready to purchase an electric vehicle, we have a program for our customers that lets them offset the carbon impact of every tank of gas they buy automatically, just by using our card. And for that, we use carbon credits that are derived from various projects around the world.
I started to think about the physical products which could, consumer get a, grip of or understand their direct impact. In an episode just recently, we had the ocean cleanup guys, founder, where you can also have like direct effect of, X number of Coca-Cola bottles lifted from the ocean, which, could be one of those kind of direct effect logical things.
It's a fascinating area to me, which is how to find those areas where you can build that direct connection.
Absolutely, and consumers need direct connection to actually, make a move.
I'm in the job of delivering dopamine to consumers, which is how do you make them feel good about their interactions with their money, which is not the normally way people would talk about their money.
But at the same time, in the financial sector, probably dopamine has been, maybe not the most beautifully seen thing, at least outsiders of that particular niche.
Correct. And my job is try to harness that in the service of nature-backed restoration.
Absolutely. That would be a good point to close the discussion, but any other kind of closing words or looking forward statements?
So a couple of things. You had asked what are the near-term things coming up. One of the other projects we have underway that we expect to be able to roll out a product over the next quarter and a half or so is a green cryptocurrency platform.
Okay.
And it is an area that's people are incredibly interested in right now. About 50 million Americans have engaged in crypto markets, and but it's also an area that's controversial for good reason, in that one Bitcoin trade has the carbon impact of powering your house for a month. That's the reality of this right now. And so what we set out to build was a platform that would automatically mitigate the carbon impact of your trades to enable people to engage in this new digital currency world, but to do so in a way that was consistent with their values. And we think we're there, and we are looking forward to rolling out something that will give people that choice to do it, but to do it in a way that can make them feel good. And that's what we're about.
That's really interesting. I mean, Nature-backed podcast series was started as part of a company called Single.Earth, which is a green cryptocurrency platform in a way, which was actively building it a couple of years ago. It's in a kind of quieter phase today, probably turning into some kind of NGO at this point. But very, very similar mission of, bringing.
There are some green crypto attempts out there, green mining, trying to mine using renewable energy. They're limited though, and people have limited access to them, and oftentimes they can't tell what they're getting because they're buying from a pool, from a broker. And
exactly.
So our job was to turn that around and say, we want to make everything you buy be climate friendly. So and that's an exciting thing for us. We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and it could have a massive impact if it's really taking off. Absolutely,
Yeah.
Definitely. So, thanks, Tim, for joining us today.
I was very happy to be on, and thanks for having me, and I look forward to continuing the conversation sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
If you like the show, subscribe and leave a good rating on the podcast platform of your choice. It would mean a world to us.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Peter.
We're the founders of Electrocast Media, bringing you great podcasts like Nightmare Road Stories, Tech Talk Revolution, and Bodacious Minds.
Electrocast networks include Ruby for female empowerment, the Best Business Network, and GPN for geopolitics. We built this company to create community and amplify diverse voices, and we really appreciate your support.
So keep listening to Electrocast podcasts and hear the culture.
Electrocast.
Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury.
And I'm Diego.
Your host for the Candle Power Hour.
Electrocast.